recording now?
We are recording, yeah. Take two. Hi, welcome to Trapping Inc.'s Scuttlebutt podcast. I'm Rich.
And I'm Sandi. And welcome to our on-location exotic background today.
Yeah, saying you're on location brings apart visions of Africa or New Zealand or something, right?
Yeah, something really cool other than up in the woods of northwestern Alberta.
This is our trapline. This is our trapline cabin. And we haven't been here that often this year. It's still pretty exotic to us.
Yeah, well, this year has been unusual in its state of busy. And we haven't been up here since the end of April. So we've had a lot of stuff to do this weekend while we're up.
Oh, my goodness. It looked like hobos had moved into my fur shed because as the end of the year comes on and I'm finishing with one fur season after another, things just get thrown in there because I'm cleaning up, and of course we're maintaining a filming schedule and an editing schedule and all that kind of stuff. So it all piles up, and I always have, usually I get back just as the snow is leaving, because then I get to go on my yearly Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, if we went on the Easter egg hunt now, everything would be buried in all of this lush green that you can see all around us here.
What my Easter egg hunt is I spend the trapping season losing stuff, whether it falls out of a pack basket, a machine, or box or whatever, or I just throw stuff down. Like lots of times when I'm editing, I will see where I used a set of setters and I've removed a trap off of a marten or whatever, drop it on the ground and walk away. And I can go right back there and go get them, and I do. But usually in the springtime, just as the snow is gone, I go out and I follow around on the tracks, and I'm pretty good. I managed to recycle everything.
Yeah, we don't usually have to rebuy, which is a good thing.
We got a full crew today out here with us, our production crew. The gray guy, the Weimarander, is Eli. The guy laying in the dirt over there, acting like roadkill, is Fudd. And there's one of them here who's got a stick. Oh, that's Gunner. He'll be in and out trying to get me to throw the stick as the day goes on. But we thought we'd give this a try. This is something new for our podcast. It's not like we're really experienced at podcasts. This is number 9 or 10.
Something like that, yeah.
And we thought just because we were here, it wasn't like it was inside my office or anything, maybe we'd film it and put it up on YouTube. Want to make sure everybody takes the time to subscribe to our YouTube or to the podcast, or if you're a member of Amazon Prime, you can watch all of our episodes on Amazon Prime. Trapping Inc. is up there, and we're getting lots of views, but we can always get more, right? You can go to our website at trappinginc.com, and you can find all the connections from there,
including Facebook. I don't think we mentioned Facebook. So, if you actually aren't part of our Facebook page, and because of this podcast or YouTube, you have a chance to go and visit that page, you'll find that we do update quite a lot throughout our trapping season, and whenever there's something interesting going on. So, and when we come out here, there's always something interesting going on, even if it's just spam. And maybe you can explain why spam might be interesting, because most people think spam as in email spam, but now this is authentic spam.
I love spam.
I know you do.
I love it fried. I love it cooked on a stick over the fire. I love it cold. I love it anywhere. There's always, if you lift up the seat on one of the snowmobiles or look in the box on the Argo, there's a can of spam. And I know that I'm going to be able to make it if I'm ever broke down or whatever. I can eat spam that night or whatever I need. But spam and fried spam and eggs for breakfast, I love that. we should do that though. We should have a competition. People should send us spam recipes.
I think that'd be a great idea. So what are we going to put up on offer for that?
I don't know. We could mugs. We could do mugs.
We could do a mug. Maybe we'd do 2 mugs.
Yeah. And you know what? They're going to have listened to this podcast to know about this competition.
They are. And we're going to run it until when? End of September?
Oh, for a mug? That's kind of a long ways. How about for a couple of weeks anyway?
Okay.
End of August? I don't know.
End of August then. End of August is good.
Yeah.
We'll draw on the 1st of September.
Yeah, I will. You'll have to have watched this podcast or listen to this podcast, but if you go to our Facebook page, Trapping Inc. TV, I'm going to have a post up there for the secret contest. That's the one that you want to take and enter on. How are they going to enter?
I think they can do it off of the post on Facebook that'll say secret.
No, but how are we going to know that this is for?
Oh, this is for a recipe. Well, you're going to have to send us a recipe.
Sure. Or a picture of you cooking Spam over a fire or at your cabin or whatever. That's easier.
That's authentic.
Because Spam's there for anything. Like, I mean, it's not like you got to be really challenged to be able to cook and eat Spam.
No, but speaking of Spam, and having reacquainted myself with Spam again since you bought the 3-pack at Costco, we were on something of a vacation. Well, actually, it was a vacation. We were on a vacation in the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia, and we went with some friends to a very, very high-end winery, and we had a little plate of meats and cheeses.
Well, it was really high-end. They don't call it a plate. It was called a board.
Oh, a board.
There was a board of cheese, and there was a meat board.
And one of the items on the meat board was pate, which looked suspiciously like Spam.
Didn't taste as good as Spam, though, I'm going to tell you that right now.
Anyway, it just kind of, that's kind of where we got intrigued with Spam again, because I think the comment around the table was that really did look a lot like Spam.
It was false advertising.
It was. It was false advertising. The wine was good, though. The wine was good. And we really enjoyed the company of our friends. So that was the biggest.
The company was great. I don't drink, so there was nothing there for me. I cannot imagine, though, going from one winery to the next, to the next, to the next, and calling that a day.
Oh, I can. And I did, actually. I'm not much of a wine girl, I have to say. But it was a girls' day, one of the days that we were there, and we did do exactly that.
Yeah, but you didn't do any shopping.
Yeah, well.
So they were doing a wine tour and there was no shopping involved.
In fact, I sent you a picture of vegan leather. Folks, I didn't think that existed. And I just had to send a picture of it to Richard and say, for goodness sakes, really?
Well, what on earth is vegan leather?
I still don't know.
Is it cardboard? Or did the animal just eat grass? I mean, come on. I don't get this one. Vegan leather, folks.
Yeah.
Drop us a line. Let us know what on earth vegan leather is.
We're intrigued. We would like to know. The little things that keep us busy and our minds occupied through the summer. Because in the winter this is a paradise of a different sort, usually buried in about 3 to 10 feet of snow and cold. We don't generally sit out and chat with our coffee because it would turn into iced coffee in no time.
Yeah. We had to get a good fire going in order to have a smudge to knock down the bugs. They were bad. Oh,
yeah.
Man. As the days got warmer, though, of course, the mosquitoes back off, which is good. But one of the things that we're doing here in order to make it possible for the winter is getting wood.
Yeah.
And you can see behind us there, we've got that woodshed. It's only partially full. We've got to get back at that again today.
Yeah, well, you'll see there's some piles of wood back there, too, so.
Yeah. And we got the Range Road splitter back there. That has made a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, it allows us to put up our entire winter's worth of wood that we use to heat the big cabin, which has a loft in it, so it takes more energy and more BTUs to heat that cabin on an ongoing basis. And then the skinning shack just back over here, which we keep at least up to temp, a little bit above zero, so that when Rich comes back with fur-in traps, we can hang those out there and at least defrost to the point where we can get the animal out of the trap.
Yeah. Yeah, and it takes about 6 cords of wood. That woodshed you see back there, when she's stacked right to the rafters, we get about 6 cords in there. And we've had winters where we burnt as little as 3, and we've had winters where we burnt like 5.5.
Yeah.
Where I was starting to eyeball up trees in the yard here.
Well, the nice thing is that, as you can see, that we aren't too far away from wood if we need to. But what we generally try to target is pine beetle killed pine trees.
Yeah. There's a lot of people not going to know what beetle is, the pine beetle is. And before we get to that, I want to say, though, we don't have the luxury. A lot of you folks, a lot of our friends in the U.S. of A., you burn hardwood. And God bless you, but I'm so envious because the only hardwood we've got around here is aspen or popple.
Popple?
That's their term for it.
Oh.
Is popple.
Well, I say poplar, so.
Well, we call it poplar. They call it popple. Whatever. We all know what it is. It's a very, very soft hardwood. Some places here in northern Alberta, there is some birch, and that would be the hardest hardwood that we have. But birch is so cherished in that. I mean, that's something you burn in your fireplace in your house.
Yeah.
Not out in the cabin. We don't have any birch on our entire trapline.
It's a lot more, the beetle-killed pine is a lot more plentiful out here and closer for us. On occasion, we've looked at tamarack now. Tamarack is a very hard wood, but the places you get it in the summertime are usually 3 feet deep in water.
Well, we went and looked at some yesterday there, and I would have needed my chest waders on, and even at that I might have got wet.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. However, they're not too far off a road or what have you, so if we're really in a pinch, we could probably go cut those down.
So pine beetle, and it's western pine beetle, I believe it's called. It was always native to BC, British Columbia, the province to the west of us. But it was never native here in Alberta. And it causes a great deal of damage. The beetles, is it June? I think it's the first 2 weeks of June. They hatch out and the adults start flying, and they fly in swarms. And we happen to have one of those freak storms where one of these swarms got blown over the Rocky Mountains. The Rocky Mountains were always our division between BC and Alberta, and it kept the pine beetles
barrier.
out. Yeah, it was a barrier.
Out.
But we had this perfect storm happened, and they ended up in Alberta. What kept them under control in BC was weather. So you needed a combination. You needed a combination of low snow and cold weather, because they winter. Over the winter, they're in the base of the trees is where they live. That's how they spend their winter. And if you get too much snow, that insulates, and then they survive. So you have to have low snow, and then you need a week or 10 days, I think it is, of 40 below. Well, we've had some of that in some places here in Alberta since the pine beetle have come, and it is helping curtail them. It seems to be the only thing that stops them, because nobody knows that you've even got pine beetle in a body of, or in a forest until things start to die, and then that's too late, because what happens is they bore into the tree, and you get these little sap funnels, and that's from the sap weeping out of the bore. The beetle itself doesn't kill the tree, but it brings a bacteria with it, or a fungus. No, a fungus. It's a fungus, right? Because it turns the wood gets a blue ring on it, and that's what actually kills the tree. But it's happening a year or 2 years after the beetle's been there and gone, and then they hatch out again in the next June, and they fly again, and they go infest others. Right now, they're only on the pine. They don't touch the spruce, but we've ended up now. We've got sand ridges here, so that means here in Alberta, when you got sand, you got pine, and we've got a bunch of dead pine, beetle killed, and we're turning it into firewood. Yeah,
it's the great use for it, because otherwise it blows down, and once it hits the ground, it really doesn't last. So we take the standing dead and turn it into something useful, which is great.
I call it zombie wood.
Ah, the standing dead, though, yeah.
Well, there's that. I really never thought about that, but what I thought about was that as long as it's standing, it's never really dry. It's like it's halfway between dead and alive.
Zombie.
Yeah, zombie, exactly. So once you knock it down and you split it in that, then it dries up and becomes good wood. But until that point, it's zombie wood. It ain't no good, and I wouldn't turn my back on it.
No. I was just looking at my shirt going, don't we have some like zombie bullets in the...
I think that's the shirt you got
on.
Yeah, you do. You got the Hornady Zombie Max. Huh?
The Zombie Max bullets. I guess if there's any zombies that... Anyway, that's way off topic.
So it takes us about a day and a half of me bucking it up, knocking it down, bucking it up, and you load it in the trailer and haul it back while I keep cutting. So she's efficient to keep me busy, guys. She's efficient. She knows that if she can drive the Argo back and unload it, I don't got to quit. Which sometimes, she worked me to death. She could work me to death.
Well, and as we said at the top of the show, I'm just going to ignore that comment. At the top, I said that it'd been very wet out here, and in fact, as we were driving to where our little stand is of all these standing dead trees, Rich had to get out and knock out a few beaver dams, or at least take them down a notch.
Just a little wee bit. The whole problem is that when you have a ton or a ton and a half of wood in that 8-foot Argo trailer, and if the Argo's out in the water floating, you can't pull it.
No. So all we needed is to take it down 6 or 8 inches. There's still enough water in there that prevents anybody that doesn't have an Argo from coming through and bothering us or getting into things. We are very remote, so there's not very many people that do get in here. But anyway, it does make quite a difference. And in fact, the dogs were swimming while we were out there doing that.
Well, it takes about a day and a half, maybe 2 days, to get the 6 loads that we need for the winter. And we get about a cord of wood a load on that big trailer. Yeah. And then, I don't know, I probably average about a cord and a half an hour splitting with the Range Road 270. Boy,
that's just such a great machine. And this past winter, not that we've put it on the show at all, but this past winter, some friends of ours got a big load of birch delivered to their yard, and we went out there on New Year's
truckload.
Yeah, on New Year's Day, and split. How many cords of wood did we split that day?
I think we put 3 cords in the trailer that day.
Yeah.
The thing is that I'm pretty damn good with an axe.
Yeah.
And I've been proud of my ability with an axe. Like, I used to be pretty good. Took a pretty good man or two to keep up with me and with an 8-pound splitting maul in my hand. But I'm getting older.
No.
Yeah. But more than that, it's the time.
Yeah.
It's the time. Like, I still love using an axe. I love using a chainsaw and all that. But at the end of the day, to look at that mountain of wood and go after it with an axe, it just takes so much time. And this saves us so much time when we're putting up that wood. I mean, we can do it so much quicker.
Yeah, and that saves time for you to clean up your skinning shack then. He really is a good housekeeper.
I had to evict 2 homeless guys already.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's rough. What we haven't had a chance to do yet, though, is to get out and have a view of what's going out on the line, other than just we took a little trip over to see if we could get at those tamarack last night, and we must have had a late snow maybe, because there's quite a few of the poplar saplings and stuff that are growing up along the line, along all of our lines that we travel on a consistent basis. We've had a lot of that come folding over. So that's one of the things that we like to do in the summertime, is to get out and do that. Of course, I mean, it's almost tempting fate, because generally what happens is right before trapping season, we get another wet snow and we have to go do it all over again.
Well, we've got 2 things that are going on right now. One, we are absolutely saturated here. Well, a lot of BC is on fire.
Yeah.
A lot of Manitoba, Ontario, and that's on fire. Here in northwestern Alberta, we are saturated. Look at coming in. I thought I was going to have to put the chains on the truck to get in the other night. But the problem that happens there is the poplar like to grow in that ground that's on the edge of all of your swamps and that. And the swamps, of course, the water comes up in and the ground becomes saturated. And it becomes a hazard. This is an actual hazard. A lot of the oil companies, north of here especially, like up towards High Level and that, a lot of the oil companies, when the wind blows, they pull everybody out of the bush. And the reason being is that the ground is so saturated that the trees start blowing over. And we've already seen that a couple of places where the root ball and everything's just tilted right up out of the ground. And it's not like we had a big wind. It's just the fact that it's so saturated it can't hold it in anymore. So that's starting to happen. We have had a lot of just a little bit we've traveled around. I can see we've got a lot of those saplings that are bent over. And of course, as the winter goes on and they get a little bit more snow, and then pretty soon first you're ducked down and hiding and trying to drive through it, and then after that you're starting to chop stuff out of the way. It just becomes more and more difficult, right?
What is he doing over there?
Oh, that dog and a stick, man.
Anyway.
He's entertaining, isn't he?
Yeah, he entertains himself, thank goodness.
You know the best part about being out here? I mean, this is the life. I need a new coffee, so we're going to have to stop this for a minute, and I'm going to have to go grab another coffee. But we get out here, and we refer to it as flannel therapy.
Even in the summertime, I keep flannel sheets on the bed in the cabin. And I don't know. It must be all in our heads or something. I don't know. Anyway, you sleep like you've never had a good sleep before, ever. The sleep of the just
and the innocent.
Yeah.
And I might qualify for 1 out of 2 on that. You picked the one.
I'm not picking anything. But the same kinds of things that go on at home do go on out here. I mean, there's always dishes to do and sweeping to be done and beds to make and so on and so forth. But we do have a lot of time outdoors here.
Well, I'm going to stop this for a minute here and go grab another coffee, and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back.
I'm trying to dig a bug out of my coffee.
Hey, that's part of the flavor out here.
It's part of being on location.
You know, one thing that one of the things I'm cleaning up is the piles of fisher and martin traps.
Yep.
And here in northern Alberta, most of Canada, all we can use is body grips. We can no longer foothold anything like that. So we have all 120 and 160 size body grips is what we use for our fisher and martin.
Yep.
We get a lot of questions about how we prepare them. And I'm going to tell you right now that any trap that I've got that, like a body grip, that doesn't go into the water, all I do is just take the oil off of. And, because they don't rust. When they're up in a tree or whatever, we just don't have a rust problem here.
Well, typically it's very dry here in the wintertime. And the trap is up in a box unless it's sprung. And then it's got an animal in it, and it hangs for maybe as much as 3 or 4 days, but that would be it.
Well, I would, all I do is I take them out of the box. Don't tell Sandi, but lots of times I put them in the dishwasher to take the oil.
Also, the other thing he puts it in is my turkey cooker.
That's different. That's wolf snares. Those are important. They have to.
I think that's a lie.
No, they have to be boiled. They have to be treated and the scent taken off of them. But ouch! Do I got a bug here or what?
No.
No bugs? Okay. Lots of bugs around. With the body grips, those 120s and 160s, it's just very simply get the oil off so that if I catch an animal in them, that oil doesn't leave a mark on the pelt.
Yeah.
After that, I don't do anything. When it comes to the body grips that I put underwater, those are the only ones that I really do anything with, like those 330s and 280s that I'll use for otter and beaver underwater. Those I dip. I will either paint or dip in a dip or use logwood crystals or whatever, something to seal them up. Do not wax them.
No. No.
Do not wax them, because there is nothing worse than... You got to understand how it works. That dog, there's a notch in that dog, and it just rests against a fully loaded jaw. Like there's tension against it, and just the friction holds it there. You take and wax that. You introduce wax into there, and you've you're basically got one foot on a banana peel and the other one in the trap.
Literally.
Literally. So that's a good way.
Or a hand in the trap.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
One fella sent us a picture last year there. He had both his thumbs got caught in the same 330 at once. Yeah.
Yeah. On some future podcasts, we'll probably talk a little bit about safety.
Yeah.
That would fall into the safety component in terms of don't wax those kinds of traps. But overall, like I said, it's very dry here in the wintertime, so we don't really have a problem with rust.
No, none at all. And as far as the ones that go underwater, that's a whole different story. Look at that big old horsefly on him. There you go, buddy. Lots of times you get 330s that have been underwater and a spring breaks. And people complain that it's poor quality springs or whatever. Around here, we have an immense amount of acid in the water from the rotting vegetation. Hydrochloric acid, I think it is what it's a byproduct of the vegetation rotting. So what happens is you put that trap underwater, and instantly overnight it turns absolutely black. Once you pull it out and the air hits it, then that becomes instant rust. I was getting 330s that weren't very old. Like after 2 weeks of being in the water, I'd get a broken spring on them, and I was really unhappy. I thought maybe I got a bad run of traps or whatever. And I talked to the trap manufacturer, and he said to me, he says, "Well, how many of them break on land?" And I says, "None." He says, "It's your water. It's the acid in your water." And I thought, well, I don't know.
The things that you don't think about, but you should.
But then he kept saying, "How many ever break on land?" That was 4 or 5 years ago was when that happened. And since then I treat everything that goes into the water, and I don't have any more broken ones. So as stupid as it sounds, the acid in the water can be hard on those springs.
Yeah, so it's just a tip, I guess, if anybody has been experiencing those kinds of things. Something to look at for sure.
No question at all.
Yeah. And what else do you do? Because at this time of year, we always start thinking about preparation because we're never too far from the end of one season and the beginning of another. We're quite lucky, as we've come to understand, that our trapping season for various, we have such a wide variety of animals, and we have the ability to trap a number of them. So our trapping season extends quite significantly beyond what some others.
First of October to the 15th of May.
Yeah.
We have 4.5 months of the year
that,
where we don't have an actual season. And as far as beaver and that goes, or bear or coyotes and that, you can always pull a depredation or a
damage control
permit and still trap them. The only time of the year I don't like to trap beaver, I mean, I'll do damage control this time of the year. Now we're in August. I don't like doing it in June.
No.
Because it's those little ones.
Because those kits are just born.
Yeah, and they can't swim for a month. So they count on mom for a month. I don't care if the day they first swim outside the lodge I catch them. That's fine. To me, it's just something that I don't agree with. Just on on my own personal basis, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has their own beliefs. So anyway, one of the other things that we do, though, and we're going to talk a lot about this, about saving time on this podcast, and that's because time is the most precious thing when it comes to a trapper. Everything else you can replace, it seems like. A lot of people say daylight's the most precious thing. Well, we don't have any, so I mean we're used to doing stuff in the dark.
We have lots of it in the summertime, but that's not when we're trapping.
Yeah, we have about 18 hours worth of daylight and 6 hours worth of dimness in the summertime.
Yeah.
But in the winter, it's a lot less.
Yeah, it's probably 6 hours of dim. Really.
So that's why a lot of the stuff that we do, whether we're trying to clean trails or putting up our winters with the wood, like I can't be putting up wood in the wintertime. There's just no time. So another thing I do is like bait, from a Martin and Fisher. We go through a lot of bait.
Yes, we do.
And probably your biggest success is keeping a good chunk of bait in there all the time. Mm-hmm. If you end up having a bad run where you don't get at it for a week or two, we have so many shrews out here, and the shrews just eat frozen meat like crazy. They'll also eat your fur if they get a chance at it.
So maybe sorry for interrupting, but a shrew is like a mouse.
Oh no, way
looking.
tinier. Way You're thinking of a vole.
Ah, yes, I am.
Vole, a redback vole.
Okay, so the shrews are about that big.
A lot of them look like if you imagine something the diameter of a dime, and furry, and round, and with a little pointy nose on one end and 4 little legs sticking out, and that's a lot what a shrew looks like. Some of them get bigger, but that's the ones that cause trouble, and they can go through like I hold the meat in our boxes with a screen, and the screen is 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, and they go through that 1/4 inch like nothing, and they get at my bait, and they just clean everything up. It looks like something out of biology class, because lots of times we use muskrats because we do muskrats just before, at the end of October, just before our martin and fisher start in November, and
use the carcass of the muskrat.
I use the carcass, keep the carcass, and bring them out, throw half one in every box, and then lots of times when the shrews get on them, as soon as it freezes, they really start eating meat. And when the shrews get on it, you'll have this perfect little skeleton in there with no meat on it. They'll have cleaned it right off. And the worst part about that is that there will be enough odor there to attract a martin or a fisher there, but when they look up in it, it just won't seal the deal, right? Yeah. So you got to keep putting the fresh meat in there. One of the things I've taken to do, a lot of guys use beaver. And a beaver, that's a great use for the carcass. If you're not selling it to bear hunters or whatever, is to have it around, chop it up, and throw it into your boxes and that. But a beaver carcass itself takes up a lot of room.
Oh yeah.
And so what I do is I take and slide the guts out of them, and I put the guts into pails. Don't open any of the pails out behind the shop.
It's this mystery tour we have around the place at home.
And I use them on my the guts, the sweetened, as we'll call it, sweetened guts. I use on my wolf baits. But then I take the carcasses and I chop them up. You would be amazed. You know those Rubbermaid tubs you get? They're, I don't know, 10 liter or something like that. They're, I don't know.
They're fairly flat. Like, they're not the great big tall ones.
No, they're about maybe 8-10 inches deep. And
how many beaver can you get in there?
I can chop up and put over 2 50-pound beavers in there.
Wow.
I mean, there's no guts in them and all that. And of course, once the legs and everything are collapsed, it fits in a lot better. But I'm amazed. So now I have a stack of them. It's about, there's 4 of them that are full of beaver. I think I've got, in the 4 of them, I think there's 9 or 10 beaver all chopped up and put in these 4. And I just pull them out, flip put them on the floor of the shop and thaw them before we go to use them. They're all in chunks. It saves me a bunch of time of either chopping them up out here. Yeah. Or trying to chop them as you're baiting and setting up. So that's another time saver, that thinking. Well,
we call it making time, actually, because there's so many things that you can do preparation-wise that allow you to move quicker. And moving quicker in the cold is a trick anyway. And the dark is a big factor for us up here, as we've talked about before, is we don't have the daylight. Like lots of people down in the U.S., they'll have nearly 12 hours of daylight, even in the winter time. Of course, they have that in the summertime too, but we have longer days in the summer, very short days in the wintertime. And the more that we can do to be prepared for that, so we don't have to be taking up a bunch of time. And dark is dangerous too. You just, things get harder to do in the dark.
They do, and you miss things in the dark that you see very obvious in the daylight. Like, some of the stuff that there's some parts of the line that I might not see in the daylight for a month on end, because by the time I'm getting through there, I'm going through there in the dark, and then suddenly things change up, and I go there during the daylight, and I wonder, when the heck did that happen?
Yeah, just the things when you're doing everything by either the light of the Argo or the snowmobile or the headlamp, and the headlamp is really important for us when we're out and about. But so those are some of the things, and that's one of the topics that we'll explore a little deeper in future podcasts. But it's just kind of making time. Yeah,
exactly. Right? Making time, making things more efficient, and there you got a big old horsefly.
I do.
Yeah, we've got a few of them out here on set. Where is our official bug killer?
I don't think we have one. We have bait. Like Eli's just the biggest bait for those things.
Yeah, they like eating gunner too, though.
Yeah, they do.
Lots of horse
They don't
slices.
care about Fudd.
I don't know why.
Or he doesn't care about them. Maybe that's the trick.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we did this summer, given that we haven't been out here, one of the really fun things that we did is we drove from our home near Grand Prairie, Alberta, in northwestern Alberta, Canada, all the way down to Escanaba, Michigan. And it was fun because we got to visit with a few family and friends along the way. But it was a really entertaining and well-attended National Trapping Association convention. They do move it around. And this year in Escanaba, Michigan, I think they said there was about 12,000 people.
They figured, yeah.
Yep.
That was going to come through the door.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's how many come through the door or that and the exhibitors. There was a lot of people. It was a 30-hour drive one way for us. And
that's dedication.
It is, but you know what? We had a lot of fun.
We
got to visit a few people going there. Coming back wasn't so much fun. We just
that was kind of hammer down and get home so that we could be prepared, because we just got home last weekend, and to get caught up on the time away because we've been gone a week.
Yeah.
And we actually recorded some podcasts there. None of them. How many did we do? I don't remember. Anyway, none of them we did on video, but we still had a great time getting to know some of the exhibitors there, people that we've worked with before, still, maybe in the future.
Well, where else do we get a chance to talk to legends in the industry?
That's very true, right?
There was people we talked to there that we'd never get a chance to talk to anywhere else, and it was entertaining, it was enlightening, it was very worthwhile. I want to say thank you to the Yoopers.
Yeah. They made everyone very welcome. There were signs throughout the community, welcome trappers. So that was fantastic. The fact that a community like that really opens its arms to the trapping community is worth celebrating.
That wind is getting bad.
Yeah, we'll have to probably shut it down pretty quick. But I also wanted to say thanks to all the people who are fans of the show that took the time to come and talk to us while we were walking around the grounds. We didn't have a booth or any central location, so some people didn't get a chance to chat with us, but hopefully we'll be at future ones. The next one is in Missouri, so if we go, I don't think we're driving.
No, I think we'll fly to that one. It was really cool though that there were so many people, and that trapping has such a strong heritage.
Yeah.
Like there's still so many people that are involved and excited about it, and we got a lot of feedback about how people are getting back into it.
Yeah.
That our show actually has enthused, made them interested in getting back into it. The one thing I got to comment about is that there was so many different lure and bait manufacturers, and there was so many different retailers and wholesalers and online people, but the tailgaters.
Yeah.
Like, tailgating, y'all, is nothing that happens in Canada. Mostly, I guess, because most of the time we're landlocked in ice.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to be outside, but I'd never been anywhere where there was this tailgating thing before.
Yeah.
And
we saw it first in Illinois last year. And I mean, It's not new for the NTA convention
it's not
to have
new for anything in the U.S.
It was just new to us. So
very new to us.
Anything that's new to us is worth talking about.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, you could buy everything from somebody had a taxidermied elk head mount there to hooped fur and skins, and there was horn mugs, and there was every knife and
traps
and
antique traps.
Well, some of them are freshly antiqued from soaking in the creek.
I remember last year. So last year, a friend of ours he was outfitting his, what would you call it? Kind of his trophy room, I guess.
His man room.
Yeah, his man cave. And he said, be on the lookout for...
He wanted a number 6...
Newcastle?
Newhouse.
Newhouse.
Yeah. Newcastle's your favorite beer in South Africa.
That's true, yes. That's why it sprung to mind first. So a number 6 Newhouse, and we actually found it. And then then the hunt was on how are we going to get that much cash?
Yeah, it was $5,000, but once it validated out and everything was true, it was a real deal.
And it was a great specimen too.
A lot of people don't understand how few of those were built.
Yeah.
You know, like the ones that would actually have the stamped springs and that, those are numbered in the hundreds, not thousands upon thousands. Everybody thinks. No, there was very, very few of those actual bear traps with new.
And the other thing you saw last year was a muskrat trap for live trapping muskrats.
Oh, that was so cool. Yeah, it's
like a
looks like
shell almost.
Well, an armadillo. It was called an armadillo trap.
Yeah.
A Gibbs, I believe it is Gibbs, and so it's got these overlying sheafs of. In a half circle, like if you imagine an armadillo, but they all fold down one into the other, and there's a pan in the middle. And when the muskrat steps on the pan, well, these closes over top of it like a clamshell closing or whatever. But they do it in this sequenced event, like a modern building roof or something, all sliding together. And then it also lifted up so that it lifted the trap kind of on legs up out of the water so that this muskrat wouldn't drown, because where the guy was doing it was, I think it was in the marshes of New Jersey, and of course there are tides there, and the muskrats would be trapped in there and they would drown. He was using them for the live market. It was really, really cool anyway. But that was
if we ever get our hands on one of them, we'll show you how it works.
Yeah. But I think with the wind coming up, we're going to have to cut this short.
Call it a day.
Yeah, what our podcast is going to be about is just about us. This is about what we do and that. So we're going to have people on here. We've got a gunsmith coming up. We're going to talk about custom guns and the most common accuracy problems that we have. We're going to be talking about what goes in our backpack when we go to the mountains. We're going to, of course, big focus on trapping and that kind of stuff. But it's just going to be about life.
Yep. And the things, quirky or not, that we find interesting, they might not be quirky. Maybe we're not alone.
Anyway, be sure to check us out. The best place to go is to www.trappinginc.com, and from there you can find our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our Amazon Prime, and the podcast.
And the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Yes. And please subscribe, because we do appreciate that. And find us on Facebook. We've always got something interesting going on there, and a lot of our folks that follow us post up there too. So as always, quirky or not, good information.
Thank you for listening today.